Hello and welcome to Money Talks with me, George Pitcher, and it's a great pleasure again to welcome Edmund Shing from BCS Asset Management and his website, The Idle Investor. Edmund, retailers now in the run-up to Christmas. Now, I hear something quite astonishing. Apparently, people are spending something like £600 per household on average on Christmas presents. Well, I'm tempted to say, crisis? What crisis?
You're absolutely right, George, but that actually is quite a UK-specific phenomenon. You could say that, of course, we in the UK are extremely generous with our Christmas presents. When you look at France, for instance, who spend 1/3 less per person, or even Germany, who spend pretty much half per person of what you spend in the UK. You could, of course, say that we're just mad shoppers and we just love shopping a little bit too much.
Well, that must be good news for some retail chains, but it seems to me that there's some retailers are in a bleak midwinter and others are finding comfort and joy. We've got to separate the wheat from the chaff, haven't we?
Absolutely. If you look at the retail sector in the UK market, it's a very schizophrenic sector right now. On the one hand, you have the food retailers, as we know, like Tesco's, for-profit warnings on the run. Share prices have been halved this year already, clearly suffering from pressures from the German discounters, for instance. On the other hand, you have companies doing rather well. I mean, I would pick at Home Retail, who is the parent company for Argos, amongst other things. Now, Argos is doing fantastically well thanks to the internet, with 44% of their total sales coming via click and collect, i.e. ordering their stuff online and then toddling along to the store to pick it up the next day or even later that day. It has proved a massive success. So Argos, with Home Retail, are one of the big winners at the moment.
I see. Well, we're used to online, of course, doing well compared with the old traditional high street. But are there share tips from the high street that we should be looking for?
Yeah, so looking aside from Home Retail, which I think is a really hot one, I think will perform well come January when the trading statements come out, I think as well you could look at the clothing retailers. Why? Because we had started a couple of months ago with very unseasonably warm weather. And so they were having trouble shifting the boots, warm coats, the high ticket items, stuck with a lot of inventory, and they'd actually had to give some warnings to the market that things weren't going that well. Of course, things have got a lot colder in Europe and in the UK, and so sales of this warm weather clothing, they are picking up, gloves, boots, coats. So I think companies like Next and Marks and Spencer, of course, Marks and Spencer also has the festive food range where they traditionally do extremely well, with the little nibbly bits coming up to Christmas. I think Next and M&S could be two of the big high street winners come January.
Quite rare to hear some good news about Marks and Spencer, isn't it? It's been on a downward slope for a while.
It has, but it's picked up of late, George. If you look at the share price chart, actually it's done somewhat better of late, and I think that a lot to do with that is the food range, but as well, don't forget they have more and more of these designer in stores, people like Peruna, ranges that are doing increasingly well. So actually, they seem to be finding their mojo after, as you say, a long time in the doldrums.
And finally, Ed, where should we look for the bargains? I don't mean the investment bargains in share prices and so on, but which retailers do you suppose are going to be wanting to blink first and clear some stock before Christmas?
Well, I think a lot of the electronics retailers, like, for instance, PC World, Currys, Dixons, they are going to be wanting to sell, and I think they may even go on more aggressive sale before Christmas. My tip is to look at online voucher sites like vouchercodes.co.uk, moneysavingexpert.com. These websites are giving all sorts of online vouchers because companies like Body Shop are putting up 40% off promotions already now today before Christmas. So get there, get the vouchers and get ordering online to get those cheap discounts.
Thank you, Ed, as ever. So there we are. Bargains not only in share prices, but also some bargains before Christmas for the shrewd buyer and investor. Thank you, Edmund. Merry Christmas when it comes, and happy shopping.